I opened Ethan's notebook in front of the whole class and read the first line out loud. What I read made the entire classroom fall silent, and my hands began to shake. Ethan looked at me with tears in his eyes, and in that moment, I knew I had made a terrible mistake.
But to understand how I reached that terrible moment, I must take you back to the first day I noticed the notebook.
My name is Mrs. Carter. I was 38 years old, and I taught 7th grade English. Ethan was 12. He was quiet, clever, and always polite. But for weeks, he had been hiding a small blue notebook under his desk. Every time I turned to the board, he wrote in it quickly. Every time I walked near him, he closed it fast. At first, I thought it was normal. Many children wrote notes. But Ethan did not act like the others. He looked scared when I looked at the notebook, and that fear stayed in my mind. The next Monday, I asked the class to write a short paragraph about their weekend. Everyone took out paper. Ethan took out the blue notebook. I watched him from my desk. He did not write the assignment. He wrote something else, very fast, with his body bent over the page. "Ethan," I said gently, he was just distracted. But when the bell rang, he held that notebook against his chest, like it was something alive. On Tuesday, I saw him writing again during reading time. His book was open, but his eyes were not on the story. They were on the notebook. I walked past his desk. He covered the page with both hands. "Is everything okay?" I asked. "Yes, Mrs. Carter," he whispered. "Then why are you hiding it?" His lips opened, but no words came out. The class started watching us. I did not want to embarrass him, so I moved away. But inside, I felt sure of one thing. Ethan was keeping a secret from me. By Wednesday, the notebook had become a wall between us. I asked a grammar question. Ethan knew the answer, but he did not raise his hand. He only wrote. I gave the class silent work. He wrote. I asked everyone to put pencils down. He wrote one more line before stopping. After class, I said, "Ethan, stay for a minute." He froze near the door. I asked him to show me the notebook. He held it tighter. "I can't," he said. Not, "I don't want to." He said, "I can't." That answer bothered me all night. I kept hearing his small voice, "I can't." The next morning, I tried to be kind. I placed a new notebook on his desk. "Use this one for school," I said. "Keep the blue one for home." He looked at the new notebook, then at me. "Thank you," he said. Worry turned into anger. On Friday, Ethan made a mistake on a reading test. It was strange because he was usually good at reading. I looked at his paper and saw that the last answers were empty. Then I saw the notebook under his test sheet. He had been writing instead of finishing the test. I felt disappointed. "Ethan," I said. Then he wrote again before the bell rang. The following week, I decided to take the notebook if he used it during class again. I told myself it was discipline. I told myself I was helping him. But the truth was uglier. I felt challenged by his silence. I felt like a teacher losing control. That morning, Ethan came in looking tired. His shirt was wrinkled. His eyes were red. He sat down and opened the notebook before the lesson even started. I said his name once. He did not hear me. I said it again. He kept writing. I walked to his desk. "Give me the notebook," I said. His head snapped up. "Please no." The whole class went quiet. "Ethan, give it to me." He pulled it closer. "Please, Mrs. Carter, not this." His voice cracked. That should have stopped me, but I thought he was being dramatic. I thought he needed a strong lesson. So I reached down and took the notebook from his hands. He stood up so fast his chair fell back. "Please don't read it," he said, but I had already opened the first page. I read the first line out loud before I understood what it meant. "Mom, I miss you so much." The words left my mouth, and the room changed. No one laughed, no one moved. Ethan covered his face with both hands. I looked down at the page. Under the first line, he had written, "Today I answered a question in English. You would have smiled." My throat closed. I turned the page and saw dates. Every page began with Mom. Every page was a letter. I closed the notebook slowly. "Ethan," I whispered, but he stepped back from me. His eyes were full of pain I had no right to touch. "I told you," he said. "I told you I couldn't." Then he picked up his chair and sat down, but he did not look at me again. The bell rang a few minutes later. No one moved at first. I wanted to apologize in front of everyone, but the words felt too small. Ethan walked out with the notebook in his arms. For the first time, I understood that I had not taken paper from him. I had taken a voice. Within the hour, I was sitting in the principal's office with the notebook on my lap. I did not open it again. I only held it. The principal spoke softly. Ethan's mother had been in the hospital for months. She could not speak. Some days she could not respond at all. Ethan had promised her he would tell her everything about his day. So every day he wrote to her. Every lesson, every small win, every fear. Every page was his way of staying close to her. I felt smaller than I had ever felt in my life. I had thought the notebook was rebellion. It was love. I had thought Ethan was disrespecting my class. He was keeping a promise to his mother. The principal said Ethan's father had asked the school to be patient, but the message had not reached me clearly. I wanted to blame that mistake. I wanted to hide behind it. But I knew the truth. Ethan had begged me not to read it, and I read it anyway. When Ethan returned after lunch, he did not look at me. I asked him to stay after class. He stood near the door, ready to run. I kept my hands on the desk so he could see I would not touch the notebook. "Ethan," I said, "I am sorry." He looked down. "You read it to everyone." His words were quiet, but they hit me hard. "I know," I said. "I was wrong." He held the notebook tighter. "It was for my mom," he whispered. "Not for them, not for you." I nodded because he was right. "You do not have to forgive me today," I said, "but I want to fix what I broke." He looked at me for the first time. "You can't fix it." I swallowed. "Maybe not fully, but I can protect it now." I gave him a small envelope. Inside was a note from me, written to him. I did not ask him to read it in front of me. I only said, "This is private, like your notebook should have been." He stared at the envelope, unsure whether to take it. The next day, Ethan placed the envelope on my desk. It was open. He had written one sentence under my apology. "I don't forgive you yet, but I believe you are sorry." I read it 3 times. It hurt, but it was honest. After that, I changed one rule in my classroom. Every student could keep a private journal. No one had to share it unless they wanted to. Ethan still wrote in his blue notebook, but now I gave him time at the end of class. I called it reflection time. He called it writing to mom. Weeks passed. Ethan did not become cheerful overnight. Some days he smiled. Some days he looked far away. But slowly he raised his hand again. He finished his tests. He read out loud in class. One afternoon, he came to my desk and said, "My mom moved her fingers yesterday when Dad read my notebook." My eyes filled with tears. "That is wonderful," I said. Ethan nodded. Then he added, "I wrote that you said sorry." I did not know what to say. That small sentence felt like a second chance. At the end of the year, Ethan gave me a folded paper. "You can read this one," he said. My hands shook as I opened it. It said, "Dear Mrs. Carter, I still miss my mom every day, but I learned that some people can make a mistake and still try to become better. I think you are trying." I pressed the paper to my chest. "Thank you," I whispered. He smiled a little. It was not full forgiveness, but it was trust beginning again. I never forgot the blue notebook. I never forgot Ethan's face when I read his pain out loud. That day changed the way I taught. It taught me that silence is not always disrespect. Sometimes silence is grief. Sometimes a hidden notebook is not a secret to punish, but a heart trying to survive. And before we take something from someone, we must ask ourselves one question. What if this is the only thing keeping them strong?